Around stuff. Today, a short video about I bought a two-cycle small snowblower. I've never had a snowblower before. I got it for 35 bucks. The seller said it didn't want to start. It would act like it wanted to start, but anyway, for 35 bucks, I'd take a chance on a pretty simple machine. Anyway, the following is what I did, and I did get it running. And it didn't cost me hardly anything, so I got a working, although old, snowblower for 45 bucks. And that's about what I'm willing to pay for a blower, which I'll probably may use no more than once a winter, if that. So, Uncle Ron's stuff today is the 10th of March 2026. I hope the following gives you a little idea. And this is for, in general, any two-cycle engine where you mix the oil with the gasoline that doesn't want to run properly or doesn't want to start. In my case, when they said it tries to start, they were wrong. All they was doing was feeling the compression of the piston going up, and it had good compression, but it was never trying to start. So anyway, then following what I add to this will give you an idea of what I'm talking about, and it's applicable to any two-cycle engine that you may have or you buy cheap and think it's worth a try, and that was what I did in my case. Okay, that's it for now. Here's the video. Okay, a short video here on a two-cycle snowblower I picked up. I don't get a lot of snow around here, but it was 35 bucks. And I could tell by looking at it, it hadn't been used much. You don't see any scars, dings, so on. And it looked like it was well enough to take a chance on. The comment was that it tries to start. That's what they said. So I said, okay, well, two-cycle, I'll give it a chance. But it overall looked pretty good, worth giving it a shot on it. And I'll show you under here. This can be lifted up and set over, and you can see the carb here on the left. It's relatively clean underneath it here. It hasn't had much of any kind of real usage. There's no oil or leak or whatever. So, and there were some instructions on it. There's a primer and a key and so on. I think based on the plate that's right here, it gives me the model number, and the best I can come up with, this is about a 1987. I don't particularly care for MTD products, but at $35, and there, $35, I thought I'd give it a chance. I worked years ago with a guy who designed engine heads for Detroit, and he always said that gasoline is so volatile that it's always a spark issue. So anyway, I thought I'd go over it, and first thing I did is, you can see the gas tank up with the yellow sticker on it, and it comes over and goes into the carburetor right there. I took that line off and drained all the gasoline that was in that tank. I didn't trust any of it. And then I poured some clean gas just through it, so I was sure that the tank was clean. I took this bowl off the bottom of the carburetor and dumped it out, and everything was really black. I have no idea. This, it's kind of strange. This is one of the older ones, and you use 32-to-1 mix in it. So it's 4 ounces per gallon. It says the ratio up there, 32. I'm getting a shadow. 32 to 1 for the oil, and regular 30 weight oil, but that's what you needed. And I didn't have any to do it that way. I had stuff for 50-to-1, but not 30-to-1, 32-to-1. So I bought a bottle of that. Like I said, I drained all the gas out of it. I emptied the bowl of that gas, and then I said, okay, spark plug time. And they have a little hole here, and there's a plastic doodad that goes over top of that, but you can get to the plug without having to take this whole faceplate off. And when I pulled the plug out, this is what it looked like, and that's pretty disgustingly clogged up. I have no idea what kind of mixture of oil and gas they had in it before, so this was obviously a replace. And this is why I'm trying to cover this one, not about this specific model or anything. It's just, in general, a two-cycle engine that doesn't want to start. And first thing is dump all the gas that's in it. Don't trust any of it. And you can do that some way underneath. Second thing is pull the plug and replace it. I don't care how it looks, but do that. And anyway, when I did that, then I don't care for this particular pull is in the middle of the whole thing here, but I pulled it and it did try to fire. When I first brought it home, I would try to crank it a few times. It never tried to start, but it had good compression. I could feel that it was the piston was going up and it was hitting some compression when I yanked the starter line. So I'm still willing to give it a chance. New gasoline with 32-to-1 mix put in the tank, and I filled it pretty much to the top and put new plug in it. And so this is an interesting sort of switch here. You pull this out and that stops it. All it does is jam open a switch that doesn't ground the magneto. So pretty simple. But down here there was reference to up here. It says off, choke, and on. So this is off, whatever that was supposed to mean. And this ties directly to the carburetor, the front plate of the carburetor. So I understand if you choked it, it should be closing that plate. Interesting enough, this carburetor has no air filter on it, and I cannot exactly try to figure out whether they put one on it or they didn't, because it could clog up with snow. It currently doesn't have one, and there's very little room underside here on the face of the carburetor to fit something in there, but I will keep researching it, and there is some oil around it. Anyway, I plug in it, gas in it. I cranked actually I hit this primer bulb a couple times and gave it a yank, and it did try to start. And I moved this over, I think, to on, and it did come up and run, but it ran very rough and not like I wanted. Anyway, I was curious to see what would happen when it came under load, so I closed the handles and made the tines go around in the front, and it continued to run, but it was still hitting and missing. And so I was lifting this up to see if I could see any gas drain leak or leak anywhere or anything like that. There wasn't any. So I wound up playing with this lever that's directly on the front plate of the carburetor. And what I found is that it will run fine in the off position, or it ran better for me when it was in the middle. And this would, in fact, turn it all the way off. It chokes it all the way off. So this is a little misleading, and I guess I'm pointing out on any engine you have that doesn't want to start with you, don't assume that these that says off, choke, and on over there, that is correct. I find it runs really good. It picks up and it runs real fast. Here's set in the middle. Now, I'm not going to tear this whole front off here to see the carburetor and then the various needles, high-speed needle jet and the slow-speed needle jet. I'm not going to do that because I don't think it's necessary. But anyway, this is an example of a two-cycle engine that didn't want to start. They said it was trying to. It never tried to. All they were feeling was some compression. So dump all the old gas, make sure all that's out of it, flush it with some new gas, take the bowl off the carburetor and get rid of all that nasty old gas. Fill the whole thing up with gas, put a new plug in it, and see what you got. And realizing you may have to play around with the choking part, and it may not exactly align with what they said, and that is not unusual. So that covers it. Again, this was the plug, and that's definitely a replace. You can see a lot of oil on it. I have no idea what the mix of oil they were using in it. 32 to 1 is a very old mix. Those things now are for 50 to 1. So that's an insight, just in general, two two-cycle engine that doesn't want to start, things you might try. And overall, I'm happy with it. I got it going for, I think the bottle of oil was like $9, spark plug was 3, so $12. But overall, it's had very little usage, which doesn't surprise me. And I think it'll work really fine for what I need to do. I have a pretty a shaded driveway, so it doesn't get a lot of sun. And it would be nice to have something to blow some of the snow off. I actually have a propane torch that is got a big, that I can melt the snow with, but it takes a long time, and I can use a whole tank of propane. And I did have to this last winter when we had about 2 inches worth of ice over the whole thing. And the only way to get that off was with the propane torch. But this ought to work for light snow, and I can just quickly plow a path through. And as I said, I think I showed you the tines up front were hardly worn at all, and those are replaceable, and they are available. The tines right here, they've got rubber over them, which I guess is the standard way for snowblowers. That's all I got for today. Maybe it'll help you. Gas, plug, and maybe what the throttle control is. Okay, today is the 10th, I think, of March 2026.